Hi, so to celebrate the release of Blender 5.0, I thought I'd bring out, and I've been meaning to bring out, but I haven't got around to all the testing yet. So now it seems to be in a good state, but let me know if there's any issues and I can try and fix it. But this version now works fully in Blender 5.0. There's some new updates. Unfortunately, the lowest version for this version with this feature set is now 4.2. So that's the lowest version that this will run out. Some of the tools might run, but there's some UI issues in lower versions. So if you're on the lower versions, you can still use the old tool. Just some of these new features are in there, but if there's a popular demand that people need it in the lower versions, I'll see if I can fix that and get this tool set to the lower versions as well. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Cool. Okay. So for this update then, the first thing that's been changed is I reworked the UI a little bit. So you can see over here that things look a little bit different, but I tried to organize it in a way that work with the workflow. So this stuff is still at the top, and then here we've got your selection tools over here. So your lock stuff is over here to lock your selection of bones so it stays selected. Your hammer tool is just over here now. That's used a lot, and you can set the cycles and you can set to trim weights below. So that's used a lot. So I put it in that position. And then your weighted bones and all bones is now just above your list. So it's easy to select those. And then your invert selection, select all and deselect is now just above your list. And then you got your filter here as well. So this is all then more closely linked to your bones list over here. So all your extra tools now, I put them in this expandable windows over here. So these are two new tools that I added. The gradient between two bones, gradient to select the bones. Here's all your cleanup tools. That was in the previous version as well. So you see here, weights below, select them, clean up your weights. Your max bone per vertex you can set here as well. So this is all under your cleanup tools. And then your mirror tool is now in its own section down here. And then your copy skin weights tool is over here. And then your transfer bone weights tool is down here. So one of the changes that might not be that obvious from the beginning. First of all, now when you pin a bone, it gets in its own little pin bone section over here. So that's a little bit easier to read. And then when you viewport pick bones as well, this will also apply in this last big bone over here. So your pin bones is now a little bit easier to see what is going on over there. But then the other thing that I really wanted to work on is, say you select a vertex over there. And then if I show all my bones over here, so it's first going to show you all the bones that's got weights on. So that is like before. And then after that, it kind of like did like an alphabetical thing. And then you have to kind of dig through this to find, you know, the bone you're looking for that you maybe want to assign weights to. But now it's first going to list your bones from the highest weight to the lowest weight. But now the ones with 0 weight, it's going to first put, so whatever your average selection is over here, and if I show all bones again, you'll see here the bones that are closest to that selection with 0 weights is going to show up first in your list. So these are probably the most likely ones you're going to want to assign weights to. So now it looks at your average vertex selection, then it finds the closest bones to that selection. If they got weights, then obviously they're organized that way. But if they get 0 weights, the ones closest is then at the top of your list over here. So it should make it a lot easier to assign weights to neighboring bones because they more than likely going to show up in this list because they're closest to your selection over there. So I hope that helps a lot. It's been helping me a lot. So yeah, cool. Now I'm going to go into some of the new tools that I've added. So here we go. One of the new features I worked on that I thought could be very helpful, that I needed myself really as well, is you've got your bone list here, and I'm trying to make the bone list as easy to use as possible, and there's some other updates for this as well. But sometimes you just want to quickly pick a bone. So I added this viewport pick bone. So what this will do is, like, you're working on this and there's all these bones and stuff, and You just want to go there and pick the one that you actually want to be working on. So you can just click on this now. So Viewport Pick Bone, and it will show you then all the bones here. So say I want to work on that bone particularly. I didn't want to go and look it up in the list. So I actually wanted to work on that one. And it will select it here, and it will fill it in here in last viewport pick bone. So from here, you can either pin it or you can lock it. So this will then stay selected. Or you can pin it up here and it will come up in your pinned list. So the last bone you selected, or the viewport bone you selected, will always come up in this list here over here, and then you can select it, you can lock it, you can tick it, or whatever you need to do with it to keep it at the top of your list, and then you can keep working on it. So this is an easy way to work on very specific bones that you want to assign weight to. So now you can just go in your viewport and you can click any bone, and it will bring it up here, and then you can select it, lock it, pin it, and then work on it. So it's just a much easier way to work than digging through the entire list over here. Cool. So another feature that I added now that's actually a request from one of the users, and I thought this was a very good idea, is this basically verts below and verts above. So at the moment, if you've got a bone selected, so say I select my head, I'm just going to lock that selection for now. I can go and I can go to select bone vert. So it will select all the verts that's assigned to that bone. But this is a more precise way to do things as well, and especially if you want to do a bit of cleaning or see what's going on, it's this verts below and verts above. So you can set this to any value. So I've select this to verts below. It will select all the verts that's less than 0.5 assigned, and above will do the opposite, obviously. And then this number you can set to say 0.1, and then verts below this, and then I can start seeing what my really small values are to that particular bone. And this excludes zero weight. So you can put this back on if you want to see zero as well, but it's just going to select everything else there. But sometimes that might be useful. So this is an option as well. Cool. So the other new tool that I've been working on, so say this is a forearm and you want to do this kind of like twist evenly along this whole thing. You can also go and smooth this out with skin painting or weight painting and things like that. But I wanted to add an easy tool to do this kind of stuff. So I created this gradient between two bones. So this works differently from this one that we'll demonstrate in a minute. But this one requires two bones. So I'm just going to start my tool over here, go into edit mode. So for this one, you need two bones selected. So let me just select the ones over here, and I think it's going to be this bone and this bone. So between those two bones, it doesn't have to be locked. I'm just locking it so it stays selected. Let's do it for these vertices. So this is also based on your selected vertices. So it will only apply this to your selected vertices. And it will replace all your existing weights. So just be careful of that. And assign them between these two different bones in a consistent way. And how it projects this out, it basically creates a line between this bone and this bone, and then it projects outwards to these vertices, outwards, projects them back to this line, and then see what's closest to this one and what is closest to this one over there. And then it will gradually apply weight between those two as an exact gradient. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to use it in the default form at the moment, and I'm going to do a linear blend between those two bones. Just make sure they selected there, and then you click execute. And now you will see over here that that twist is in a linear fashion, exactly blending between those two bones. But you can do this in different ways as well. So you can make this is in. So if I execute that, it means it's the bottom is going to stay in place a bit more, and the top is going to deform more. And then if I ease out and execute, you'll see now you get a different transition there. Or you can do blend in and out. Maybe you can see this a little bit better if I move this bone. So let me just go into pose mode. This around. So you can see that blend in and out as I move this bone. Maybe this is a bit easier to see this way. Let's select this. And now let's do a linear one. Execute it. Now if I move this, see it's linear. It's a linear transition between those two bones. So if these bones are disconnected, you know, if you move them around, you can do this kind of stuff then as well. Or if I make this ease in and out again, you can see you get that gradual transition over there. You can get those kind of very exact gradients between two different bones. Okay, but let's finish this off now and do this for the top as well. Top bones over here. And then I'm going to select clear my lock. And then I want to blend between this bone and this bone, between those two. And I'm also going to do a ease in and out. And now you can see that we got a nice gradual transition between those two. And I could have done it linear as well. So let's do it linear. Those two, execute. So you can get all kinds of different twists going as you please with this gradient. Yeah. Okay. So this is how you can use this. Then for the extra options, this normalize will put the gradient exactly between 0 and 1, depending on what vertex is the furthest and closest away. If you want to do it to specific divisions, you can use this option over here. So what this will do, so say between those two bones, it's going to draw this line. At the moment, it's assigning this weights, you know, as on this line exactly to that in this kind of cylindrical projection. If you put this on, you can set the divisions over here. So it will then divide this up into exactly 10 pieces, and it will assign these, depending which one of these 10 divisions it's closest to, and assign these round values to it. So this is if you want very precise, you know, 0.25, but these are just slightly different, but you want these kind of like round numbers. You can have this then divided up, and then these will be rounded off according to this division over here. So you can do that that way as well. So that's the extra option on that one. I hope you guys find this one useful. I've used this a few times already and it worked really well. Cool, cheers. So the next new addition is this gradient to selected bone. And to demonstrate how this works, I've got this little example over here. So basically all I've got here, I've got this plane that's been subdivided a few times. And then I've got these corner pins, and these ones, let me just quickly show you. So these have been skinned to those 4 different corners over there. And then this one is just pulling that over there. So I've just got like a little animation here. Okay. So what I really want is like between these bones to this pulling one, I want my selected vertices to pull in very specific ways to then that pulling bone over here. Okay, so let me show you how this works then. Select this again, go to edit mode. So once I'm in edit mode, go to my Vertex Skin Weights. I'm just gonna, as you can see now, this hasn't been initiated yet, so just start tool to start the tool. And now you can see the live update of what it's doing over here. So this will work on any vertices you got selected and on the bone you have selected. So this is to a single bone. So I've selected all the vertices in this case, and I want this center bone over here. Let me expand this. So this center bones is the one over here that I want to create this transition to. Let me just get all the verts over there. There we go. So this is the one I want to pull to. I'm just going to lock it so that stays selected over there. And at the moment it looks like this. Now I want a very gradual transition to those. So you either have to go and paint this in and, you know, sort of like smooth it out, and then you might still not get exactly what you need. But this will do it like in a very exact way. And this is based on the distance from this bone to whatever other bones these vertices are skinned to. So if and it's literally on the vertical distance in the rest mode. So basically where it's been skinned, it will base it on this distance between the other bones over here. So let me expand this over here. So gradient to select the bone. So I want to make this. So first select your bone. So this works only on one bone. So once you've got a bone selected, you don't have to have it locked. I'm just locking it so that it stays selected so I can show you the different options. So if this pulls up, I want to make a linear transition to that bone, and I'm going to execute. And you see now it made an even transition between these bones and that one. So you can see it's linear. But I can switch this up, so I can make this ease in. I can then make this ease out. Or I can make this ease in and out. So there you got a gradual transition. If I change it to ease out or ease out and execute, it will look more like this. So this is, you want a very even transition from one bone to another like this. Let me just go back over here. And now you'll see as well that if I go back into object mode, go in, you look at these then in pose mode, you see it retained the relative skinning to the bones that they already was while keeping this transition. So if you want to quickly do these kind of skinning jobs, and also important to note, it's based on what is selected. So if I just go back to the previous scene, you'll see here, if I just base it on, let me just start the tool again. So this is the old skinning. And this is based on the vertices you got selected. So if I've only got these selected, it will only apply this to the selected joints. So if I go now and select that again, and go to, and just lock that selection, go to this, and if I now execute this linear to it, see here, it just did it on the selected verts. So this is just important to keep in mind. Let's do it in and out and execute. There we go. So then you'll have something like this. And then of course you always got, so if I select, if I want to ease that transition a little bit, I'm just going to select these and I'm just going to do my hammer tool. And you can get a better transition there if you want to ease this out a little bit. But yeah, you see what I mean. So you can smooth this out afterwards with any of the other tools. But it's just important to note that it's actually based on the vertices that's selected. So it will only apply this to the selected vertices. Yeah, so that's all the new tools and updates for 5.0. Congratulations on Blender for version 5.0. I've been playing with it. It's great so far. And please contribute to the Dev Fund. Every sale for this also contributes to the Dev Fund, but keep Blender alive. I love it. Switch from Maya to this, and I absolutely loving Blender. So yeah, and I think we need this out in the world. So please contribute to the Dev Fund, even if it's just $5 a year, or if you download it. It's really worth keeping this project going and keeping it healthy. Cool. Cheers. Bye.